There are sometimes insurmountable challenges that distract us and make us focus on other things. And many of us, I'm sure I'm not by myself in this hall, we're faced with the task of simply providing. We're faced with the task of working or searching for work. Then we're faced with the task of just simply surviving. And a lot of times pressures can build when we get caught up watching other folk, seeing what they have, how much of it they have. And we sometimes forget whatever they have is not meant for us. Whatever they have, they have. Whatever way they got it, they got it. But the thing is, if we would stay focused and look straight ahead, and just look at what God wants to do within us, then the stress level will go down somewhat. Because a lot of times we always feel under pressure to compete, under pressure to do. But when you get, like me, I think, was it March 25th, I'll be 60. And I don't mind saying it. There's some of you that'll be 62. Some of you will be 72. Some of you will be 59. Some of you will be 49. Some of you will be. Just be. But at the same time, over life and over time, I have learned that it makes no sense whatsoever to try to keep up with other folk.
Amen.
Nor does it make sense to be jealous of what other folk have.
All right now. All right.
We shouldn't be under any unnecessary pressure to do these things that God says will be ours if we'll just do it His way. The writer teaches us in Psalms 37, fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thy enemies of the workers of iniquity, for they soon shall be cut off. Many times it seems like they have, and they gain real fast. And it seems like we're slow poking along, but nevertheless, whatever we have, God sees to it that we don't lose it. So He fixes it so that whatever we have, we're able to add to what we already have. And if we lose anything, He sees to it that, number one, it gets replaced with something even better. But that's just how God works when we leave everything in His hand. But God also has established a protocol as to how He wants Christians to live and the things that we do that are expressed outwardly. He talks about when you give outwardly, how you ought to do. He talks about when you pray outwardly, how you ought to do. He talks about when you fast outwardly, when you save, and how to stop stressing. He lays out a timeline. And in one of our studies in systematic theology, the class that we teach, talks about how God made man. We're in that section of anthropology. Talks about how God made man to be a dependent being, but dependent on Him and nobody else. But it turns out that man has found a way to be dependent on himself. Find all kinds of ways as to how he can make the way, how she can make the way, how we can get it all done. And God is saying, outside of me, none of that is going to last. And I must repeat the same thing that I did last Wednesday and this morning. And I'm going to play that one over again. I'm going to roll the tape. It's not going to be the same words, but I'm going to do it again. If you find yourself in a position whereby you were enjoying the things of God, and you find that somehow or another some of these things evade you, or they're leaving you, or they're disappearing from you, the question that one must ask is, what did I do to get it? And number one, am I continuing to do the same things to keep it? What I mean by that is when I wanted and when I did not have, I went to God in prayer. And when I looked at my shoes, they didn't look very good. My suits, they didn't look very good. The things that I did didn't look very good. In fact, I found myself in a shambles in my situation because when I looked at others, they seemed to be better off than me. And so then rather than me become jealous, I finally got over that and found out if I talk to God and give God my heart and my mind and my service, then He, somewhere down the line, will forgive me if I ask Him. Then He'll turn around and bless me right in the midst of my enemy. And then God fixed it where the shoes, and some of you know from over how many years now? 42 years or whatever, when we were going to another church. I had platform shoes. That was in the roaring. And that was in the age of Aquarius. And that was the age of, Earth, Wind. And the age of Afro, and the age of liberalism, the age of the big comb. In those days we didn't have hair to pick. And the comb was what? Come on, what color was the comb? Red, black, and green. Those were liberation colors. When you finish your hair, you put the thing in your pocket. Leave a little clamp up so everybody can see. Liberation. So then the suit that I had was a plaid suit. I thought I was looking good. I didn't know folk behind my back was laughing at me. But at the same time, I was covered. I had on clothing. And then I got to the point where I thought my ankles would break because the platforms were too high. And you know how it is when you're trying to walk straight, you know you go out the right corner of the hill. And in that process, you're walking like a cowboy that walked all the way from Texas to New Jersey and been spurred along the way. But nevertheless, I thought I was cool. And then I started watching people in the church, and I wanted to be like them. I didn't know they had excess baggage. I just wanted to be like them because that Sunday show they were putting on was looking mighty good to me. And I was impressed until I saw them through the week, and that killed that whole process. And so, but nevertheless, I learned that a lot of times we as people, we find a model or somebody in the church that we can focus on and try to match ourselves to them and feel we need to grow up to what they are doing. But you don't know what other folk are doing. So we have to learn how to trust God in the things that he wants to do in us. And they may be different in some manner. And I found out that when I gave more of myself in service to the Lord, he began to bless me. When I began to learn how to pray and pray right, he began to bless me. And my last struggle was tithe. When it came time for that, I stayed convicted about 7 years. I said, I can't part with this because I ain't got nothing. I'm speaking flat language here. You ever look at your money and just said, I really don't have anything? And you ever heard people talking about tithe? And you ever felt convicted because you knew you weren't tithing? You remember those days, don't you? And so, what I did, I eventually started letting go of the nothingness that I thought I had. And when I use a tithe and envelope, and I'm not going to say how certain churches did us, they tried to shame us into tithing by posting our name on a big board that was outside in the lobby, showing what you gave, and thought that would scare us into giving more. Well, they didn't, because I just didn't have any more to give. And then further than that, talk about outward show, we had a special prayer just for the tithers. Here we go with our envelope, running all up there with our envelope, thinking that made us look a certain way. It did. Foolish. Because they were having prayer just for the tithers. And then they said, okay, now the rest of y'all come on. And I cleared out before God. If I ever pastored a church, I would never do those things. Because one, you don't know what people have or don't have. Amen. Two, whoever is putting it in the envelope, you don't know if it's really tithe or not. You put it in an envelope called tithe, but the sincere tither knows what he or she is doing. And there are some people who tithe and don't put their name on the envelope. Of course, that's what you have to do. You got to put your name on it so you can be accountable. Be proud of what you're able to give. If it ain't for $5, put it in the envelope. Pray over it. God will bless it. God is not just blessing what you do. He's blessing your attitude in what you do. This lesson really is more about attitude than it is magnitude. For in giving, he said, take heed that you don't give before men to be seen of them. Otherwise, you have no reward that's coming from God. You getting a hand clap from the folk. Because they're looking at you, they're seeing how well you can do it. Oh boy, isn't that lovely? And sometimes we love